time it is. It's your boy DJ Richie Skye back with some tea, interviews, recaps, and more. And be sure to check the links in the description of this video for trips, for books, one-on-one sessions, and more. Now let's get into the tea. Y'all, we have got to discuss Kenya Moore's final moments on the new season of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. The moment that we have all been either just loathing or anticipating, it has finally arrived. And I cannot wait to see how you guys feel about it. Based on the comments on social media, I think I've seen that opinion is very split down the middle, it seems, about whether or not Kenya Moore was justified in taking the actions that she did last night, or her behavior, as Bravo called it. Let's take a look at what Bravo posted at the end of the episode. And it was a still frame, one card, and it said the final moments of tonight's Real Housewives of Atlanta. This is a post by Queens of Bravo. And it says, based on Kenya's behavior, the decision was made to cease filming with her this season. Let's look at the language. Kenya's behavior, they are taking a firm stance there. If you look, that's very, very interesting. Not quite surprising based on the fact that she's no longer there. They clearly hold her responsible. And then it says the decision was made to cease filming with her this season. So what does that mean? Well, that could mean that she could be back next season. Potentially. I would also wager to think that the network is probably going to be looking at how Kenya responds to all of this, right? So let's take a look at Kenya's response. And then we're going to dive into the episode itself, and I'm going to give you my thoughts. So Kenya Moore posted on her Instagram, like the post. She says, "You have been my besties for the last 12 years, and I love and appreciate you so much. Last year, you cried with me when all of my hard work from this salon was cut by production and none of it was shown. I want to thank all of my friends who showed up for me and who support me on a regular basis, who love me down. My glam team never gets it wrong." She names them. She says, "Miss Lawrence, thank you for gracing us all with your presence. You are a star. I hope to turn our segment into a TV show, God willing." And so that's interesting right there. And Miss Lawrence did make an appearance on the show last night, in case you missed it. And I thought it was a well-deserved spot on the show as well, especially for Kenya and Miss Lawrence. It was a full circle moment in an episode that definitely felt like a finale for Kenya. She said, "Special thanks to the event planner who always throws the most stunning events. Thank you to the gorgeous models who helped make Kenya Moore hair care so iconic. To the cast of The Real Housewives of Atlanta season 16, I wish you all an incredible season." That was gracious. "To my family and to my friends and family, thanks for loving me, flaws and all. Thank you to all the stunning women who have patronized Kenya Moore Hair Spa. I love making you look beautiful. Love and blessings to all of you." All right. Now, let's discuss the episode. And as we go through, we'll talk about some of the commentary from social media. I just think it's kind of important to look at some of these things because I do think that they speak volumes sometimes to the public sentiment about what is happening with the show. And I don't want to discount that. But the episode reads this. It's season 5 of episode 16, About Last Night. Britt realizes she may have crossed the line and plans to make amends with Kenya. Angela is surprised to learn about a blow-up within her own family. Kenya gears up for the grand opening of her hair spa. I'm going to go ahead and dive right into the Kenya and Britt of it all. The first part of the episode, we have a scene with Shamia, and we have a scene with Angela, and we have a scene with Britt. And in that scene, Shamia has invited the ladies over and wants to kind of get a good read on what happened. And in this scene, we learned quite a bit about Angela. Angela was, in fact, the one who actually posed the question to Kenya Moore about can she speak politely to Britt at the dinner in the previous episode, which kind of started this whole situation. And that was a surprising thing to learn. And Angela is definitely team Britt in this scene, right? That was also like, okay, you standing 10 toes down a little bit, right? A little bit, just a tiny bit. And, Britt seems to not, she seems to be in a very interesting space after the night. And she definitely seems contrite about the entire situation. Like, regretting the things that she said. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I think that's what production looks for. I think that's what production and the network looks for. How does the person respond to the mistakes that they make, right? She clearly realizes she was in the wrong, and as she will continue to realize as some of the ladies hold her accountable, specifically Porsha. And so that's kind of what we get from that scene. And she says, she doesn't want for Kenya or anybody else to feel like she would hurt them. Last week, we touched a lot on Britt and her comments about the pow pows and the whips. And, I really question, why would you go there? Like, there's no need to ever go there in a petty housewives beef about literally nothing. So it made no sense to me. I would have to wonder also too, did production talk to her about this? And is that why she was a lot more visibly contrite about this whole situation? But it begs the question, why post anything about it online if you know that you actually did mention pow pows and whips? It doesn't make any sense. So I think that also is leading a lot of people to feel a certain type of way about Britt, because I still haven't been able to make sense of that. But I'll also touch on why I feel like this whole situation is production was a little limited, I think, in what they could do in the aftermath. I'm not talking about what they could have done to prevent this. I'm talking about the aftermath. I need you to be wholeheartedly clear on what I'm talking about. The aftermath, because this was I don't want to say a public event. It wasn't public, I don't think. I think it was a private event with more people than the cast. And when you involve more people than the cast in this event, it's going to be a lot harder to keep things quiet than if this were specifically an all cast event where it was just the cast, like, say, at the dinner that Angela threw at the bank, right? This is an event that has, people who are like, there were invites, right? So when those pictures were shown, we people were tweeting, people were, like, there was a buzz going in social media. So it would have been hard to contain. This should have been contained before it got to that point. Now, the next scene that you see with Britt is a scene with her and Porsha, where Porsha is really taking her to task. Now, this comes after a conversation that Porsha has with Kenya and Kelly, for which Kenya is very much like, I'm about to do my research on this girl. I'm about to have a private detective investigate this girl and find out what is the tea with her. She's not over it. Kenya's like, it is, as Kelly is trying to defend Britt. And which is also interesting to me, because I'm like, Britt said those remarks to Kelly. So, unless Kelly was wasted, why did she not hear though? She keeps saying that she didn't hear it. And maybe there was so much commotion, but I felt like Britt was talking specifically to her. So anyway, as Kelly is defending Britt, Kenya is very much like, At this moment, I do wonder why Kenya just didn't disinvite the girl from the event. Because most, I think, people would want to think that my event will not be about you, right? This event that I'm having, that I put my blood, sweat, and tears into, I'm not going to make my moment about you, who I feel like is trying to make a moment. And I hate the word moment on these shows. Let me tell you why I hate it. The group is there to be entertaining, right? To show their real lives and to have these moments together. So, yes, there is going to be issues that arise. That's what you're there for, to show us how it is, how you guys navigate through them. So, moments are going to happen naturally and sometimes unnaturally. And you go with the flow. Either you pay it dust or not. Keep it moving. That's my opinion. So, the general sense is for me that Porsha was able to hold her accountable, take her to task, and tell her, like, that girl, that wasn't right. It didn't make sense. You're judging Kenya off of moments past when Kenya is not coming into this season with that same energy. And that's a fair assessment. It is. It's a fair assessment at this point. Because, and again, we get all these flashbacks of Kenya Moore moments in this episode, which is also kind of interesting, which lends itself to feeling like a grand finale for Kenya in general. We get some interesting scenes from Angela. She tells Charles Oakley that Porsha has some tea on her, for which Charles is very much like, you need to handle that girl, handle it. I do feel like Porsha should not be saying, I got tea on somebody, and then just not saying what the tea is. I mean, if you're going to say something like that, then just say it, period. Especially at my event. But, otherwise, Charles don't look like he give a dog on it anyway, so it is what it is. The next scene that we see is everything leading up to the event of the moment, right? That's Kenya Moore's hair spa opening. Here's how I feel about that whole situation in general. I keep reading the comments online saying, well, if someone goes low, that you are going to take it to hell. There is a problem inherently in that statement, and I want to know if you guys already can hear it. That means that you yourself have to go to the hell. Okay? Now, I don't know about you, but from what I understand, that is a hot place, on fire, if you will. So that means that you are willing to burn yourself and your village down so that you can get revenge on somebody else, which means that you now place vengeance higher than your well-being. That never makes sense to me. I mean, when you logically think about it and you logically think through it, why would that make any sense? Especially when you have a village that you need to take care of. You got stuff to lose. But somebody that ain't got nothing to lose, that might look like a different situation, but you got things to lose. So why would you burn down your village to get back at somebody else? Why would you make your life about them? A moment that you have been waiting for. Why on earth? I mean, let's not even think about the business ramifications, right? The business ramifications is like, what does that look like for me as a business owner? Am I putting more weight into making a TV moment than I am my business moment? No, I can't do that. I can't. And I understand there are issues that we have with Brit from the previous episode. There are things that were said that make absolutely zero sense to me. But even still, Kenya Moore, who has been on this show all of these years and has worked up to this moment here, you cannot give that moment away. There are so many other ways that this could have been handled, right? First of all, when Britt shows up, you could have had her escorted out by security. Make that a moment. You could have cursed her out right then and there and told her to leave, or then call security. Make that the moment. You could have just, or in general, just disinvited her. There's that moment, right? Because there was so much that was put into this event, and I understand that it wasn't shown before. But this can't be the way this can't be how you go out. It can't. And I get it. A lot of y'all upset that with the way that this situation has been handled, but because it happened in such in such dramatic and grand fashion in front of so many other people who were not a part of the cast, it's like this was going to leak out, and now you can't put the toothpaste back in the bottle. But I do have some concerning questions, though. My concerning questions are these: who on production knew about this? Did nobody see these posters? Did she not say, I'm gonna be like, I do wonder that. I mean, maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I don't know. But if somebody knew, then that somebody, I also blame you. Because now you let this get to this place. Now, granted, I do feel like as Kenya was making her grand speech about this whole situation, I felt like she was talking I felt like she was sending not only a message to Britt, but also to production. I felt like she was sending a message out, and it felt like this was pent up frustration that she wanted to let out. But there were so many elements that as she was giving her speech, and she started off with it being about this business that she's built, she talked about her daughter, and then it goes there. It was like the more she talked, the more crazy, like it sounds crazier and crazier as she's blowing and doing all of these things. I was like, no, Kenya, no. And even though I know it's coming, I was still horrified for her. Not to mention what you're showing to everybody else, but I'm horrified for her, right? Because let's take it back to what I said. In order for you to literally go to hell, you have got to be in hell. That means you're taking everything that you have with you to hell in this moment. I just don't get it. There's a comment that says, as a business owner, it's wild to see someone completely fumble their own bag. Whether you were threatened or not, showing explicit photos at a grand opening of your own salon is beyond unprofessional. It's damaging. That moment was supposed to be about growth, celebration, and launching your brand. Instead, it turned into chaos that drove everyone away. Right or wrong, how you respond matters. Your grand opening is your one shot to show people who you are and what your business represents. If this is how you carry yourself in front of clients, family, and the community, why would anybody want to support that? It's not just about being right. It's about protecting your name, your vision, and your future at all costs. Everyone makes mistakes. I hope she can turn it around. But yeah, Britt was also wrong, threatening someone basically with with violence. But because what is a gun for? You know, this is, I mean, this is how I felt in that moment as I was watching this. I felt like this. Right? And the comment I just read was this comment right here. It's the first comment that I see on the Queens of Bravo page. It was just so much. And then the faces and the reactions from the ladies. Let's talk about that. I think that that also plays a big part in what the general feeling was in that moment of, yeah, I mean, I think that Kenya is justified in her frustrations 100%. But I think the following actions were just not in line with where I think she really wanted to be on that day. And if she did want to be there, why would you want to make, if you paid her dust then, pay her even more dust now? Because this right here is just not the look. It's not, you know? And this is me wanting Kenya to have this huge moment for her salon, because I think it is the payoff of watching her growth and her story on this show. And I always talk about, when we watch these shows, we're watching these stories unfold. And this was meant to be an apex moment for her. And now it just turns into what feels like a fall from grace from a beloved reality TV star. Um, and I'm sure, listen, I'm sure she will pick things back up, right? Because we all love a comeback story. So, eh, I don't want this to feel like this is the end for her, because I think it's a new beginning, right? And whether that's on this show or some other show, I think that hopefully she's able to really bounce back from this. And I honestly have to applaud what Cynthia said, because I think in that moment, Cynthia was like, you could hear Cynthia in the overdub audio of her saying, I don't want to see this girl sucking nobody's thing. Like, what? Come on now. Um, Cynthia says, I'm getting to know Britt, but I know you. And I really hate that you let that in this way. I think you're bigger than this, and I think you're better than this. And I think that that's just honestly the truth. And I think Cynthia told her the truth right then. Some people are not going to like that, and some people are. It just depends on what kind of friend you want. That's the reality of it. Um, and there were some clips from Watch What Happens Live. They did bring this up. Cynthia did, tell us that she had not spoken to Kenya. Danielle Brooks was on, and she applauded how Cynthia handled the situation. Of course, we have some posts from Kenya. This post says justice for Kenya. Um, and how do you guys feel? Like, because I'm not here to try to be the morality police, but I just, in my opinion, I do think that when you have that moment, you make that moment about you and nobody else matters. It reminds me of someone who has like a business, and we're supposed to be celebrating your business moment, but you're complaining about one of your employees. Like, no, I don't, nobody wants to hear that, right? We don't want to hear like, we want to hear about this. We don't want to hear about her in this moment. You know, Kelly walks out, Porsha walks out, Shamia walks out. Angela, who had prior to that, I mean, she was very much, oh, I'm Team Kenya Moore. I'm on your side. She walks out. Angela is very interesting. We see some scenes with Angela, with her daughter, which I thought were actually very revealing. Angela has a lot of story on this show. She has a lot of story. Um, and they're really rolling it out from the issues with her husband and her family. Now the mom and the sister are going at it with the daughter. The daughter was secretly married. Angela didn't know. Then the daughter turns on the waterworks when confronted about it, and it was like, I mean, it was a lot. It was a lot. But I'm here for the stories. Give me some good story. So anyway, I've been debating about this, and I've been going over it in my head like literally all night since I've watched this episode. And I've seen these scenes play over about 1,000 times. And anyway, so I just wanted to give you guys my take on it. If you were wondering why I'm a little bit more subdued today, I just have gotten some really rough family news today. So, you know, life be life. So, I didn't have the energy to be as turned up as I typically am. And I wanted to give you guys that bit of information, especially if you made it through to the end of this video. Life, it happens to us all. So y'all just keep my family in prayer at this point. More news on the Ponderosa. Location is secure. I will send out the information. I had this whole plan of just being able to send everything out today, but when family stuff pops up, you got to take care of that first. So more information on that to come. The tickets will be available soon, probably if not today, maybe tomorrow. But I'll keep you guys up to date on that. With that being said, make sure you guys keep it locked onto the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. Like this video if you like reality TV related content. And with that being said, I will catch you in the next video.